Welcome home.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 1, season 3. As you can see, it's a brand new setup. Thank you for tuning in to the Busy Money Cast. I'm your guest host. Actually, I'm your host, Hussain Abdullah, Mathman HHA, Mr. I Ain't Got It. Y'all know the rest. So today we have 2 amazing guests. We have Ms. Rhonda Brown and we have Ms. Carla Fears. So before we jump into that, I want to thank everybody who helped put this together. So first, I want to shout out Fear. Go get the book. Version 2 is in stores now. That's the one with the red stripe. You got to get that one with the color photos and all that. Second, I want to give a shout out to my man Clarity. He's a big supporter of the show. We got some big things coming up soon. He may or may not make it on season 3, or we may take the show on the road. I can't give out too much information now. Shout out again to my man Clarity. We're always going to make sure that we shout out the Mary Kemp Foundation. Proceeds, anything that comes from this show and from the sale of the book Fear, goes directly to the Mary Kemp Foundation. So please, if you find it in your heart, show some love, send some money to the Mary Kemp Foundation. 100% of all donations go directly to the cause. No money goes to operating costs. HAHOMES takes care of every bit of operating costs through our donations. Now, last but not least, our favorite sponsor, Howard's Blend. You're going to pay some bills? Check out the commercial. I'll be back with y'all in a second. All right, everybody, we're back. And I have one of my favorite people. And look at her shirt. Notice. So we have Miss Carla Fizz today. Carla, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So why you got on that shirt today?
Well, because last name is Fears, but I like this this shirt because this is a connection towards you and when we first met and HA's Homes and your book, of course. Reading the book year before last, even to my students in class, it's just, that sometimes when we operate in fear, we forget sometimes we're always living in the past. Those things that come back to haunt us, those things that we can't tend to let go. And I love the saying that, forget everything and reset, because sometimes we have to just push that button and we have to step out on faith. We have to step out and do things that we may not be comfortable with. But, it's just, if we operate in that spirit of fear all the time, it'll hold us back from doing what we want to do, And so meeting you and meeting some of these amazing people in the room has really inspired me, in my 50s to do things that I probably should have been doing in my 30s. But if I forget anything, reset and step out, I think I can see now everything is working out for me.
I appreciate that. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, today is actually the 4th anniversary of my retirement. So today is September 13th. I retired, if you can see the logo, 9/13/19. So it made a heart because I was really happy. You know what I'm saying? So I go to right there. So it's amazing to be able to do episode 1, year 4, and recap all of these things. So one of the reasons, outside of all the work you're doing in real estate, which we're going to get into, is my connection to education and your connection to education. You want to give us a brief background of your history of education and a little bit of what you're doing now?
Yes, this is my 8th year in education. This is my second career. And after leaving the Department of Army, my husband retiring, like I always wanted to teach. You always work with children, just from children's church, Sunday school, writing plays, Easter plays, whatever the kids needed. And I just always had a passion to teach. And so when I was done, I think teaching soldiers, I was like, I want to go in the classroom. And it has been the most amazing thing I've ever done. It's an amazing journey. Right now, I hadn't even thought about leaving education, but I'm like, at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to go out and do other things and be a pillar in things in the community as well. Because I attended my graduation of the first students that I had this past May. It was overwhelming. It was so emotional to know that those were my first. Those were the kids that I grew with me, and then to see them graduate and a lot of them going on to college, especially coming from a middle school that there was not a high graduation rate. And I had the opportunity to teach those kids 3 years in a row. So I was one of the first in this district to loop with my kids 3 years. So it's been an amazing journey. And I just want to see where it goes and where I leave. And then someday I can look back and say, and I can have my, have my shirt and say, okay, I'm retiring, I'm stepping back, but I want to make an impact. I want to make a difference and just remember my why and why I pour into the kids the way I do. It's rewarding and it's fulfilling, so yeah.
Can I ask, you said this district, what district are you working with right now?
At Killeen ISD.
So you're in Texas working.
Yes.
What grades are you working with right now?
Yeah, I'm working with 5th grade. I've taught 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then I went to elementary 3 years ago. And so it's different, but I feel like it's preparing them for middle school. And so a lot of things I do in the classroom, whether it be that growth mindset, whether it be academically, is to prepare them to go to middle school, because I've been there, know what it's like. And, and hopefully they'll step over into that threshold and just begin to grow and thrive, especially those middle school years.
Okay. So we're going to transition a bit just for now. So you're in education and then we meet.
Yes.
So we got to cue that up.
Yes.
Right. And then you end up working with me. How did you hear about what we do and that sort of thing, or what garnered your interest to even work with somebody like me or start investing? I know that's a loaded question, but you could break it down and
Well, actually, it was because of my son. My son was like, "Mom, I've been reading books and hearing about." He says, "I want an Airbnb." He said, "Can you figure that? Find out how that works." And I said, "It's just so coincidentally that I had started into real estate, really thinking of a way that not only just to make extra money, but just looking into ways to create generational wealth." So I had sat down and I had a plan. I have 4 kids. So I said, I want 4 houses and I want 10 acres of land for each kid, because I want my 40 acres and a mule. And so, and being landowners ourselves and our family, my grandmother left us land. And so it was just something that I really start looking at as, what if the next generation, what if we can bring that back? What if we can bring ownership into real estate? Because that 1% has always been wealthy through the real estate, but it's something that we've never tapped into really as a people. And so I felt like if it's something that I can learn, if my kids are asking about it, then I'm going to go out and learn it. And so, and I want to be in that situation where I can employ my son. And a lot of people don't know his backstory. I won't get into all that. But when he comes home, he has employment. And I remember that day when I met you and you spoke to me about that. And you said, I want you to get established, because when he comes home, he doesn't have to work for anybody but you. And then he can start his own business. He can take that out. And so that's my why. And when I met you that day and I was like, wow. And you said, you can employ your children. Wow, that's deep. Because then he never has to fill out that application or check a box, that would kind of set him back or make him feel defeated, because it's already established. So I'm on a journey to get all this set up. So when he comes home, he has tailor-made innovations.
Tailor-made innovations. TMI. Y'all can clap, just.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know this. We have a live studio audience. And we're gonna keep running with that. So yeah, you feel free, be yourselves. Make as much noise as you like. That's fine. We're gonna clap for that. We're gonna clap for freedom, true freedom, wealth, and all of that. So I want to run back to one thing. This happens oftentimes when we work with people the first time. They come in with a goal. Now, I'm not saying it's a low goal. Let's just say it's feasible or achievable. And then we put in a few months. And then we start to meet and exceed and supersede those goals. So we've been working together 2 years.
Yes.
The goal was 4 houses or 4 deals or whatever. In 2 years, do you mind sharing, or do you want to build it up? You want to build it up? You can build it up. Hold up, watch this, because I be talking a lot. How many deals do you have right now?
Well, one I'm just closing on. So I'm closing on a deal next week on Tuesday. And I have about 3 more that I have in the works. And so my goal is to actually close at least 6 deals by December. And yes.
And then hold up, I think we have, here it goes, Nova's right on time. She's never late. What about this deal?
This deal? Okay, so that was, again, this was a deal that a property, I never thought I would be a landlord or a property owner, but, meeting HA Homes, and encourage. But this was a deal that we closed on where taking those assets and putting them back out there, kind of like recycling it or whatever. And so I closed on that deal just last week and was able to meet an amazing buyer and taking that. And you want to know what I'm going to do with that?
Y'all want to know what you're going to do with that? Yeah. What you going to do with that? Let's go.
I'm going to buy some more.
You're going to buy some more land. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So here goes what we're going to do. First off, shout out. We got 20 people watching us live. Shout out to everybody. Geet, Ma, Yus, Iris, everybody. Rob, Peace, what's going on? Libra's twin, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all have questions? Make sure y'all ask. You're more than welcome to ask any questions about the process, education, whatever. Later on in the show, we are going to have a discussion about hot button education issues because I left education for certain bureaucratic reasons, and I can't wait to share my opinions on those things. But we're getting back to Carla. So, can you share? We're competing with the TikTok generation. A lot of times, and I don't like dismiss it. I get a lot of text messages which are like, "Hey, is this true?" TikTok. "Hey, I seen this thing on Instagram. Is that true?" Whatever. I seen this thing on Facebook. So a lot of times they make it seem way easier. You get an LLC on Monday, Tuesday you go get $50,000 business credit, and you buy 20 houses, and that is not true. That being said, I want you to share one thing, maybe a misconception, something that you thought might be, or maybe a tough story, something you had to overcome as you've been on your journey, this 2-year journey, with them 6 deals and the land that you have and the other acquisitions and the buying and the selling and all the stuff you're doing right there. Yeah.
I think us as older generation, there is no misconception. I think or at least for me, I've never been one to kind of bite off because if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. But I've been very guarded and very speculative of different people. I try to follow maybe 1 or 2 people. If I follow TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, follow people that that have a reputation. People like UPC here, owner Regis, people that you're seeing them do the work. People like HA Homes, like you are saying, that you're seeing them do the work, and how you are able to give information. I don't think of time when I've called you or text you that you never gotten back with me. There's people out there in, YouTube University that if you text them, you're not going to hear back from them. You drop your fee or you pay for that course or that ebook or something that you've got to read on your own, you're not going to hear back from them. Meeting people like, my mentor and friend and a good friend in Austin, Lydia, Renee, they pick up the phone. You pick up the phone when they call and they answer questions. And so I think the one misconception is, do not get caught up in people who have 50 million followers and who are giving you a pipe dream. Because if they are so busy that they cannot answer your text or your phone call when you need help, because I came into a situation last week where I think I thought I read every book and everything information on wholesaling. We get to a situation where they only take you so far, but once you get into the actual transaction of it, I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, what do I do? I started getting nervous because I haven't gotten this far, or I haven't had that scenario. So there's nothing that can teach you. And one advice I want to give you, if there is something that you want to learn, you may have to pay for it, because a lot of times we feel like we don't want to pay somebody for the information, but be careful who you pay. See them do the work. Make sure that they're doing the work and they're producing, and then you follow, or you give, you take that course, but make sure that they are about what they're about. And I think right now with TikTok and Instagram and all the people want instant fame. They want instant fortune. And unfortunately, this generation of children that we're teaching now, educating now, they want that get rich quick thing. And it's not. Real estate is not get rich quick.
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon. And so we're so focused on the destination that we forget about the journey. We gotta play the part. We got to do the do.
100%.
Before we get to that.
You can clap. Yeah, we clap for that. And there's two things in there. I just want to add my 2 cents in on that. And that's one of the reasons I cap my number of clients. Because if I can't do a good job for every client, I'm not doing a good job for any client. Mm-hmm. And then I also asked you to attest to one other thing. I have one more question, and then we're going to move forward. One thing that you mentioned about like the microwave society, basically everybody wants something in 30 seconds and they're all said and done, is that I kind of have opportunities, and there are a few great people I worked with over the last few years. And that's one of the reasons why I don't do that. So this will probably be one of those shorts where I'm like, here goes the reason why I don't sell programs and why I don't do funnels, because I don't want to be attached to somewhere it's like, you want access to me, $300, and you get the book and the packet and the workshop. And then people are like, yeah, but what do I do next? And then it looks bad on me because you wasted $300. So I thank you for bringing that up. I thank you for sharing that, because I think that's an experience a lot of people have where they feel like they're going to get everything they need, and you can't. That's why coaching is so important, because our conversations are different than everybody else's conversations. And as long as everybody's happy with their progress, then we're all winning. So again, I appreciate that. So you want to share something? I know you got to. Oh wait, can I say first off? Shout out Lydia. You can shout out you can shout Lydia. Like you can say it like Lydia. First off, shout out to Lydia. You signed up. We had our consultation fee. A couple months later, I bought 2 houses from you through Lydia. We forgot about that. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
So basically, you got your money back and then some.
Yeah, she kind of threw me out there in the waters and just like, say, hey, go do it. Write this up, do this, because if you, like I say, you meet people that are, people, I keep looking at Regis because sweat equity. Hey, you got to do it. And so that first summer that I was getting into all this, I had to step back and drive for dollars and, working Lyft and making phone. Oh, I hate cold calling it, and so I found out what I loved. I found out what I was good at, what I wasn't good at. And there's just like, some of those things where you have to get out there and you have to do the work, and you have people that come along for a season, now she's like, you're good, you're good.
Right.
And so, but it's those people that come along for a season to kind of push you out there, and getting emails from you just the other day, the P&Ls and getting your budget. I was like, oh Lord, I need to go and update stuff and write it down. But it's just having those little things that if you're out there and you're trying to follow each and every person, are they reminding you to balance your books? Are they reminding you to make sure your taxes are up? Are they reminding you, make sure you meet your deadline in May? Hey, some of you have a deadline. And so having that business piece and all of that is so good, because a lot of times, can I say Black people?
You can say, yeah.
A lot of times we as Black folk, we can have a business. We know how to business, but we don't know how to business. A lot of times we fail because we don't know how to take care of the back end, the back office, where you got to have all your numbers, dress, paperwork in order, and all of that. And so I think, we have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate ourselves on, how to build a business. We have to educate our the things that are going to come back and maybe haunt us if we don't have it, dress right, we can't lose. So we have to be in this business to win, but you have to do it from A to Z.
100%. I agree with that, like all day. So there's one other thing, and we got to talk about like reciprocity. Sometimes people have this approach when they meet me or when we have a conversation as if I'm supposed to know everything under the sun. And the reality is I know what I know, and I only talk about what I know. So maybe I seem like I'm really smart or whatever, but I'm a specialist. But I reach out to different people because I've put people in the right position. And like my man C Webb always says, shout out to my man C Webb. He's like, it's about having the right people in the room. See, like you said, with the 1 million followers, I don't need 1 million followers. I'm good with my 2,000 followers because I got the right 2,000 people in my network. So those things are important. And then going back and forth with the accountability. So for all my clients, you know how y'all got that sheet, the consultation checklist as soon as you signed up? That came from a conversation with Carla and I. So Carla was like, I'm just not really clear on exactly what we're doing. And I'm like, so then there must be something I'm not doing. So we had a conversation. A week later, I had it drafted up, boom. And now everybody gets to this part of onboarding. And then I was like, well, what do I really, okay, let me put that in there. And then it made things a little bit more crystal clear. Yeah. And then another person said, blah, 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 blah. Or I had a client for 6 months that didn't do any budgeting. And I'm like, I wonder how many other people didn't do their budget. So now it's a part. So you guys make me better. And every year I plan on getting better and better because of the people that's around us. And shout out to UPCU. You know what I'm saying? We are collaborating. And if everybody's strong and if we combine, it just puts us in another level. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to double check and see if there's any questions. If I have questions for myself, if you have questions for Carla, if you have any questions, hot button issues that you want to talk about with education, put them in the feed now. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to run back another commercial. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate all y'all. Let's get a word from Howard's Blend. Thank y'all. Y'all can clap because we're back. So we're with our next guest. My mother's on here. I can't wait for. I can't. All right. We're gonna stop. We're gonna stop. So we got Miss Rhonda Brown. She's like the community. Could I say like the community 41 mom? Like everywhere I go, so much energy. And this picture is just a matter of formality. Because we've been locked in for a couple years through your son, Matthew. And you connected Matthew and I?
Yes.
And then
yes, and you took great care of my son and just, pulled him in and was the type of person that he needed in his life at that time, ongoing at this time. And then, it's a treasure to me because so mom, hey mom, he's helped me with my momming because it sounds like we have a similar mother-son relationship. And since then, it's like, oh my, it's so much better. Thank you, Hussain. So I can just understand better because you can't, I couldn't understand, but because he was nice enough to say, okay, let me tell you what's going on. And and that's what was going on. And I got better.
Now I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this like this before we jump into the conversation. And this is what, like, I'm always honest, maybe sometimes too transparent, but it is what it is. So like, I look at like Ms. Rhonda, like my Texas mom. I had Carla, shout out to Carla Riley. She was my Minnesota mom. When I was out there in my 20s, she made sure I was out of trouble. She made sure everything was good. Made sure, right? So that's how I look at Rhonda Brown. And I said in Regis, I'm gonna hold you to this. We're gonna figure this out. We're going to get a street named after Rhonda Brown. I promise you, in the 41s, we're going to get that done while she's here to still see it. That's our relationship. Let's talk education, because that's one of the reasons I have y'all here, because I want to talk education. Can you give us a little bit of background, what you did, what your career was, a few points? What was your background in more education?
Okay, so I started out in a teaching career. I graduated in business, and the ability to do something that I loved wasn't necessarily available. So it's like, well, maybe you want to work with kids. Go and substitute and see if you like it. I went and I substitute taught and I loved it. So I put in the work to do what I needed to do to become a teacher. So I was in the classroom for like 5 years, and then I guess out of the classroom for another 14 years, and then out of one district to the next district for 4 years. And so now I'm retired. But I mean, I loved what I did. I really did. But I just hated that the atmosphere wasn't conducive to my personality and what it is I desired to do in the lives of children.
We're gonna end up getting into the education politics real quick. I could see. That's okay. Oh, we're gonna transition back.
Saying.
Nah, I get you. We have a similar career path. My career was 14 years. I started out as a substitute teacher, got a job within the a para assistant teacher.
Okay.
For a couple months, boom, jumped into class, was a para, bunch of different jobs, teacher, math coach, ended as administrator. You ended it as admin.
Yes.
Okay. And then this is a segue. When I was able to go ahead and become an assistant principal before I was going to go into principal and district leadership, when I took the courses and I got the stuff and I stopped liking education.
Wow.
Because I started seeing how things really work. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about what you got going on.
Okay.
Last night we had a meeting and you said something about education and being a teacher. You remember what you said? Because somebody said, "Oh, you're retired." And what did you say? What do you have to say about?
You never retire. Teachers do not retire.
Not the good ones.
Oh, okay. But you never retire. You transition. You find more impactful ways. So I would still be in public education if I had the opportunity to be as effective as I needed to be. But when you have to go and you're fighting against systems that do not allow you to mentor, to teach, to help children, and especially the ones that need the most help. There should not have been anyone coming against me for helping a particular child. But those are some of the things that I had to face because I was made different. I was the square peg trying to be fit into the round. So I said, just forget it. I'll go out here and I'll build differently. I'll continue to educate, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm an educator. I just stepped out of public education so that I will have a greater impact where I am doing what I'm doing when I can. And this is what I want to say is those 24 years of experience, my community has access to. The best part of teaching was helping. And it didn't matter if I was helping a teacher, if I was helping a student, it didn't matter. That's what I realized gave me my energy. What do you need? How can I help you? Whoa, you're flying now. I love it. Now, move on to the next thing. And so, yeah, so community is important to me. As you said, you took my son in. That meant the world to me. Okay. And that's who we are and how we have to be so that we can become strong, which is community strong. That means engage. That means whenever you have the opportunity to make an impact somewhere, you're responsible for that. Don't turn don't turn your cheek. Don't look away. There's often times that some of my other children wish I would have looked away. No, Mom, don't say anything. And I'm like, oh, yes, I am. I want to know. And this is a cute one. I was walking through the high school picking up one of my kids, and there's a young man that had big ponytails, like on each side. And I'm like, hey, what's your GPA or whatever? I'm like, okay, you get to do that. That's what I'm talking about. You get to freely express yourself when you're freely achieving what it is that you choose to do. Just make sure it's not something else. But I know my son is like, will you leave people alone? I can't. This is the way I'm made. I don't leave people alone. I want to know that you're okay. I want to know what you're doing. I want to celebrate with you your successes. And if it's something that you're struggling with, maybe I can say something. Maybe I can do something. Maybe I have an answer. I don't know. But that's Yeah, that's education. So I missed some of that.
Yeah. So
I missed some of that.
in your day-to-day,
Day to day.
you're not just not educating, you're officially working with some programs and doing some work. You want to speak about that a little bit? Some of the people you could give shout outs. This is that show.
Okay.
You
this
can
is that
you
show?
can say whatever. This is yeah. Everybody I
Okay.
think you shout out, I'm cool with. So they can get free
Okay.
advertising. You can shout everybody out.
He said everybody.
Not everybody in the world, but like I don't
I know what
so
you
this
mean.
summer I volunteered, but you really volunteered. Where'd you really volunteer this summer,
Oh.
every day, all day? Where'd you volunteer?
Okay. So I was with Tony Johnson at the House of Resources
In Temple, Texas.
in Temple, Texas, and we did summer camp. We did summer camp 1 and 2, and that was like super fantastic because, like I said, I didn't leave education because I didn't want to work with children. It was I can do this right. I wasn't trying to catch a case. I wasn't going to see another child mistreated, period, and not be able to respond in a very effective way. Yeah, so I said, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna move it over here now and do it differently. That's how much, don't come for me and don't come for mine, period. And they were all mine.
Okay, I have like 5 or 6 hot button issues. We're
Oh,
gonna
my.
we're gonna get into it.
That's
Because I have my own stuff that are like pet peeves to me. I just want to see where y'all
Okay.
weigh in. So let's talk transition because I agree. Like I'll take myself as an example and then we'll move forward. People say like you're in real estate. It's kind of like when people talk about business. Like I am in education. I happen to make money in real estate. But if you think about where all the money really comes from, it comes from educating people, doing deals with them, learning things. The majority, the bulk of this comes from working in collaboration and teaching. So I still know I'm an educator. And we had this conversation last night. I have a certain number in mind. When I hit this certain number, you'll never hear about me doing real estate again. I'm about 2 years from that. And then I'm just going to fall off the map. HAHOMES may not even exist anymore. It'll just be education and it'll be donations and that type of thing. I'm going to hang up real estate. But you still got 2 years to cash in. Don't worry about it. 2 or 3. We'll see how it goes. Because inflation, I might need the 3rd year. All right. So that being said, we met, Matt, we all worked together. Do you want to talk about, I mean, I know it's only been a few months, but do you want to talk about anything with our journey so far in a few months? Something you like dislike, like annoyed, happy, sad? You want to share anything about your journey in real estate so far?
I'm going to say ditto to everything that Carla said. So I'm super uber excited now because I see her path in 2 years. And that's the path that I've just started on. So everything she said is absolutely true. Is if you call Hussain, he's going to respond, extremely responsive. As an educator, he's very patient because we're the ones with all the questions, okay? So for success in school, just everybody know, you just need to listen, follow the directions, and ask good questions, okay? If you don't get it and you don't got it, you better be asking it. Because if you don't ask, you won't grow. And so, I came in, I was ready to get started and check. He's probably like, lady, give it a break. Can you just take a week off? And I'm like, no. I've always wanted to be that example. Okay. So I want to do well at whatever I do. And so you have been marvelous. I have my checklist. I'm checking it off. I'm having questions and he met with me before. He's talked to me on the phone. We'll be meeting again. And I don't know, do you know Carlton Sheets? You ever heard of that? Oh, okay. No, not that Carlton. It was Carlton Sheets.
Tell me about it.
I will tell you. So this is Mr. Webb might have heard of him, but anyway, he's a real estate guru from back in the day, like probably when I was in my 20s, and I bought the box. I bought the box. Anyway, so full cycle. I'm like here, but being here is a comfortable space, a hopeful space, because I know and trust the person right here, because I know and I trust who's saying that he's not in this for cash. He's in this because this is the heart of what he sees is able to help not just a few people, lots of people. The impact of finances, the impact of having wealth, even if it's not generational yet, but is going to impact what happens in the classroom. I used to have to purchase, I didn't have to, but we would play games. You might see a kid walking down the hall with a box of cereal and I had snacks in my room, I had water in my room, whatever was good for your brain and learning, things like that. Those were the things that I did because that was what mattered most. It's the bigger impact. So we have children in our community that go to school hungry. Okay, that should not happen. If we have resources and if we're not so selfish that we just say, I got this information, I got mine, you go get yours. That's not the heart of Hussain. The heart of Hussain is I need the community, I need everybody who's willing to come along, get what we need, take care of one another, and change the paradigm of us not being able to take care of ourselves. And especially the least of us, our children, we're changing the paradigm. They are the most important. And I will say to your daughter on the sheet out there, that he, talks about how, hey, I haven't started it yet, but I will. I got a message in the morning and a message 2 times every day. These things that we need to share among one another, put in place so that we have the product, so that we're building up the community that we want and a community that will be there for our kids and our grandkids and great grandkids. So we have some making up to do, but like I said, the heart of Hussain, we all gonna get there. We're gonna get there because he's pulling the right team together. Like he said, I don't need 2 million, but if I get the right 2,000, and I can say from what I see, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. And it's humbling to be around people like that. Like we had the conversation last night and we were talking about like your cell phone. And if you pull out your cell phone, and this is something for y'all, this would be a TikTok right here. This is a quick 1 minute blurb right here. So I want you to go on your phone. I want you to go to the bottom. I want you to see how many contacts you have. You have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 contacts. If you needed 100,000, 50,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, how many of those people could you call on? How many people could you invest with? How many people are about something? You got 400, 300, 500 people in your phone and you can't put together $50,000, $100,000. Kids, 10,000, 20-year-olds, 30, you can't put that money together. There's something wrong with you because you put them people in your phone and that's your circle. It's something to reflect on. Yeah. It's just one of those things. But now with that, that's enough real estate. You guys good with real estate? Yeah. I'm done with real estate. Today's the 4th anniversary again for y'all just tuning in. 4th anniversary of my retirement. That's what this logo is. So it's 9/13/19. I retired September 13, 2019, years to the day. So I decided, why not do the same thing? Let's continue education, but the right way. So I'm gonna ask, and you guys are sharing my ego back and forth, whatever. I'm gonna ask y'all some simple questions, and we may or may not agree. I just want to have some fun with this. Audience members, y'all can chime in, and also y'all got the mic if y'all want. Let me know. You feel free to ask questions. It could be education, real estate, or anything you want to promote, shout out, anything like that. So I'm gonna jump right into this. I'm gonna start off easy, start off slow. We're gonna build up into more serious politics, but I'm gonna start off with this. Hats in school, yes or no? Carla, you go first. Your kids coming to class with a hat. What you telling them?
In my classroom, I do allow them to wear it, but the policy is they can't have it out in the hallway. So they do know to take it off in the hallway, but I do allow them because for most kids, our kids, I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside. For some reason, the hoodies and the jackets are like security blankets. And I've seen it, especially among our culture. I've seen it in girls. We have that push out system. There's a great book out there if you haven't read it called Push Out Girls, but we have a system in place that doesn't support us. I had a young lady in middle school who, for some reason, I don't know if the perm or something had kind of taken out the back of her hair. She was having a bad hair day, but I told her she could wear her hoodie because I understood that. Soon as she stepped out in the hall, people were eating her alive about taking her hoodie off. She got defiant, talking back, and I said, let them know that Miss Fiercey, you can wear your hoodie. So again, they comfort. Why are you changing the rules? you don't get it. That's why I'm so glad that the Crown Act has passed, because for us, we have to be protected. And for that young lady, I was going to bat for her because I saw what had happened to the back of her head and she was ashamed. And I called everybody I knew in the community and I got someone to come in, and she was living with, I think, a foster family. They didn't really know how to do her hair, and we were able to get someone to do her hair. That's it. That's all it takes. Just ask questions. You know, don't put them down, condemn, just ask questions.
Hats and no hats. It's okay.
No, I'm the mission essential. You wear whatever hat you want, but you got to be listening and learning. Okay, that's the bottom line. That's where you're gonna fall out with me.
That's what I thought. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'll give you one quick story. And the race and all that don't matter, but I'll just say that you could infer what you want to infer. So I had a student walked in, came in, whatever, same setup, didn't have a haircut, came in with a do-rag on. And as soon as he walked in, the class was perfect. Everything was good. He walked in 15 minutes late. And at that time, I was a para. So I walked in with him because I know what his situation was, whatever, and why he was late and what we were doing downstairs and how I had to bring him and get breakfast, even though cafeteria closed, and because I knew his situation. And the teacher did too, which is messed up. She walked in, as soon as she walks in, take that and get out my class. Set him off. He tore up the classroom, ended up getting suspended over a do-rag. And she was a new teacher. She was trash, by the way. She ended up not working, thank God. But that happens too often. And then certain structures, whether it's the administration in the school, the administration in the district, they have these culturally insensitive rules. And who does it penalize the most? Us. I mean, white kids that wear do-rags, I think I'm fine with it. I think it's cool, but that don't happen more than this black kids. You meet a white kid with a do-rag, he's probably pretty cool. I'm just going to tell you. That's my personal opinion, right? So there's that. All right, hats in school, fine. And in the audience, hey, hats in school, because I know there's some teachers on here. Hats in school, yes or no? Let me know what you think. Next. Go crazy.
Just go crazy. So community and an educator, this is the way Hussain says, a little blunt and a little too truthful. Community, that's on us. That's a public school, and we have to come together and hold them accountable when they're doing whatever they're doing, whatever we don't like. We get to voice that. It's our money. I don't know about y'all, but a big chunk of my money goes to KISD for taxes. And so that means we have a voice, but are we using our voice? When things like, and when I say it's learning essential, so that means when I step in the classroom and I don't care who has on what, if there's no learning going on, it's a problem that needs to be fixed.
Talk about it. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, I'm going. These are softball questions. We're gonna build up into maybe 2 or 3 tough ones. We still got 20 minutes, so we got plenty of time. All right, so yeah, we'll keep the same order. So all right, cool. First name, last name. I think it's consistent. So, but I just throw another softball out there because there's some people that's like it's a matter of respect, this, that, and the third. So, like, I'm like, you call me whatever. The kids used to call you Mr. H or H or whatever. It didn't matter to me. Did they have to call you Miss Fierce? Can they call you Carla? Did they have to put Miss in front of it? Where do you stand on first name, last name, Miss, and not?
I think because, in our community, we grew up, we always say Miss Carla or Miss Rhonda or whatever the case may be. The kids just, I think naturally, I don't ever want them to come too familiar and calling me Carla. But at the same time, they call me Miss Fears. That's just, I think most of the kids know that in school. And I've never had a student that tried to call me Carla. Most of the times they don't know my name anyway, because it's not up. They just say Miss Fears. But at the same time, I think that I don't require them to say yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am.
Okay.
But they can't say yeah and no.
Okay, no slang.
No.
It has to be yes or no.
Yes or no.
Okay.
And that I don't allow. But as far as the name, I've never had the issue of them trying to call me by my first name. And sometimes when they hear it from another teacher, they're looking around the room. It's Carla?
Who is Carla?
Who is that? But I've never had that issue. But I'm fine with it if they just say Miss Carla or Miss Rhonda, Mr. H, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, we're gonna put a handle on it.
Okay.
That's just the way it's gonna be for me.
Right.
So I would not say that what's comfortable for me has to be applied to everyone, because that's not real life. We're wanting them to be able to function in society. And so society, if boss says this and this boss says that, and you got to feed your family, you're going to handle that business. Okay. So you want, for them to have that level of flexibility. So I'm going to say this other little thing. My little pet peeve is when teachers give students permission not to learn their names as if they're incapable. I'm like, what's your teacher name? Miss P? No, bro. I need you to go find out that name and you're going to learn how to pronounce that name. And they have like a little slight ding right now because something says that they think their students are incapable. And that's not going to work because then you're not going to learn at the levels I expect you to be learning at. So that was my peeve.
You could go crazy. Yeah.
That was my peeve.
I agree with that. Yeah. Right, like The Wire, Mr. Presbeluski, and they couldn't say Presbeluski, so they called him Mr. P. They're gonna have to learn how. I agree, because I don't think in corporate America, at least you can say, "Hey, Mr. B," and like your boss's name is whatever it is. Like, no, listen, and we're not a monolith, so we're gonna agree on some things, and I think this is a good opportunity to see that we're all educators, and we all have different opinions on some things, and some things we're gonna agree on. So could we like take it up a notch? Like I jump right in there and get crazy with it a little bit. How do you feel about testing? See the faces, watch the faces. You got this on the full camera, right? You got this on the main camera. You see the faces. That's not me. I'm retired. I can say
You standardized testing. Oh, oof. I think that it's money.
Oh, I can confirm 100% that it's money. And we got to remember, I just want to say one thing. Remember, Ms. Fears is still an employee of a clean independent school district. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, she, they we'll just throw that out there as well.
Right. Okay. Yes, I am still employed, but at the same,
just so you know.
I think that testing, STAR testing, things like that, it's a money game. It's a numbers game. I don't believe that the people who create the tests have ever been in the classroom. I don't think that because there's, we were talking about one day, my sisters are educators as well. And I see my brothers online as well. I don't know if my sisters are. They're both educators. I called them one night. I was reading a story in class and it talked about the student going out early in the morning and walking in the dew. DEW. My kids didn't know what dew was. But I talked to my sister and she said she remembers being younger and reading about words like dew and things like that in books that were more like maybe fairy tales, things like that. Sometimes books and things that our 401 kids may not have access to or haven't been read to. So I was just floored that they didn't know what dew was. Do you know, she teaches up in Arlington High School. She asked her kids what was dew. Only a few of them knew. But when it comes to testing, these are vocabulary vernaculars that they use on standardized testing that our kids have never been exposed to. And unless we as educators remember to bring words like that in their vocabulary, this year, I know our campus, I don't know about it, the whole district, but our campus has been big on word study. Every morning we start out with words. You're going to learn words. When I came into teaching, someone was telling me we don't give spelling tests. We had spelling tests every Friday. When we were younger, we had a spelling test. You had to know how to spell and you had a vocabulary and you knew how to use a dictionary and you knew how to write in cursive. The kids can't read cursive. So a lot of times they will bring out words, I would say words, but also different scenarios or experiences that our kids don't experience. But then they wonder why different demographics do differently on certain tests because of what they're exposed to. And I know some of my colleagues may be listening right now. Our theme this year was camping.
Okay.
Okay.
So
can I? Okay.
No, hold on. No. I'm gonna let you finish, but I would like to get like 4 or 5 more questions in.
Yes.
So let's cap the president. Let's cap him at 30 seconds each because I really want to get into
All right,
it,
okay.
but I add another 10 minutes. We still got people tuned in, and there's comments. So there's questions here.
All right.
So go ahead,
30
Campion.
seconds go. So coming back, camping was the theme, and I got to thinking, how many of our 4-1 kids have ever been camping? How many have ever been fishing? Case in point, last 10 seconds, I went to Branson 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's on one of my TikToks or Instagrams. I am sitting out with my own family. I had never made s'mores, and I'm 53. It was so amazing, and they're so good. But I'm thinking, how many times those are experiences that we never experienced. I never experienced that as a child. So then we come back with the camping thing, but do they know how to pitch a tent?
Okay, so let's take stars and or testing in general. You can answer that, and then there's a comment on here I'd like to highlight, and then there's points in there. So what happens is when you make those great points, you got 5 things, and I want to ask 5 questions, and I can't because they're so good. So sorry, you go ahead, and then we're going to because all of my questions are coming from what you said. Go ahead, Miss Brown.
Okay, so now it's like where I what? Okay,
Yes or no? You
Okay.
like testing or not? What do you think about it?
okay. So
Stand
my
up, Justin.
experience. So what
Whatever
we
you
do?
want.
No, I was in the middle of the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So from my experience, what I heard from Carla is that they haven't had these experiences or different things. So that's us. That's a level of communication as well as books that my kids know about everything that I know about. Having that experience, that time to communicate and talk with. And let me tell you back in the day, and let me tell you right now. And so I went fishing. So if I might have been her teacher, we might have at least talked about fishing so she'd have an idea. What I feel about testing is there was a time before testing when children were graduating, they couldn't read. So the testing is necessary. Now, what people do to manipulate the money they get is that they cheat and shortcut. Take shortcuts. They want to make like, oh, they know this, but they don't know this. They're dumbing down. They're throwing kids in sped so that those numbers won't be. It's a, like you said, a game. I believe in assessment and evaluation. My students know very well. It's your time to shine. I don't work you.
Right.
And we knew what we was working for. We knew what we needed to do really quickly. I got in trouble, but I'm slow, y'all. I didn't know I was in trouble. The director of special education, the principal, I got called into the office. Why? Because they gave a release test and my babies outscored those GT kids that took those tests that has those questions where people go camping. And I think they was trying to say I cheated it. I did not cheat. I did exactly what I said. I held them accountable. I gave them what I knew they needed. Oh, you learned something new? You need to eat something sweet afterward in your brain and hold on to it. And I made sure each child learned and not, there wasn't any like, no, get out from under this. Come on, we get ready to learn this. So that's how I feel about testing. But it's like you say, it's like you say. Sat on the panel. So if we're present, if our administrators look like us, or at least are conscious of our needs, they have panels that go through this reading passage and this and that, and you give input, get involved. Don't just come to the schoolhouse, do your teaching time and go home. Get involved with what matters most to these children. We're there for them, not necessarily that they're there for us. They are there. We are here for them. So we need to be doing whatever we can to set them up for the level of success we want in our society. Because what we always say, when I get old, I need somebody taking care of me. I need y'all to be able to read, write, and think.
I agree with both of you. And there's, like I said, there's a ton of points in there. So I'm just going to keep moving on and we might just have to do round 2. I'm going to bring this up. So first off, thank you to Jay Taylor for tuning in. Earlier, Jay Taylor said, but we have to do better. If a hat, hoodie, or do-rag is what defines you, you're not there to learn in the first place. I'm going to take this first. Jay Taylor, and you're more than welcome to call in. I do this. I got on a hat right now. Am I not here to perform? We could go back and forth on this one. So if I care about what I have on, or if I don't got a haircut right now, I was too busy running around. So I decided to wear a hat that matched my outfit. I decided to take an extra hour to take client phone calls instead of cutting my hair. I figured a hat would save me an hour. Am I not prepared for what I'm doing? See, I'm going to take that one personal because I have children that I know, like Carla said, had something else. I mean, yeah, sometimes there are some kids, first off, I'm gonna say bad, but I don't mean bad. Kids that don't want to learn don't go to school. The real ones that don't go to school hang out and they don't show up in class. So if you got a kid that shows up every day, he wants to be there. You just got to reach them. But no, let's talk about it. I'd like to get a response to that one. So we have that. So let's talk about some things. Cursive. I personally don't think kids need to learn cursive. You feel like you do? Tell me why you think they should learn cursive.
I don't think they should. I think though generationally they're going to come across things because they can't read it. So it's going to hinder them if they come across things that they have to read that is written in cursive, because there are some people that still write in cursive. I forget sometimes in the classroom when I'm writing, and I forget sometimes, and they're like, and it just may be something that's on the board permanently or what. They're like, what does that say? I can't read it. Oh, I can't read. I forgot, but I think generational, we've moved from that. So we're no longer teaching cursive, even though it's on the books that we are supposed to or that we should. But I just think that if kids, I know my personal kids started writing cursive at an early age, and they were all under the Becker program, which is the private in Germany. And when we got here to Little Academy, shout out to Little Lambs, but they start teaching that when they're little, because their theory is, why unlearn something? Why start printing and then writing cursive? If you just start writing in cursive, you don't have to unlearn it. So you're learning two types of, you're writing in print and then you have to learn cursive. Just start out writing in cursive. And so my kids never lost that. So when I came in the educational world, it was just that generational, because I started teaching so late that I was just shocked that they didn't.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, and again, this is not agree. I just want your opinion. Like, yeah, just want your opinion, because I mean that's a great point. And I never had that perspective. But like myself personally, I'm in that transitional generation to where like I didn't grow up with social media and I didn't grow up with a phone, but I was young enough where I started to get them. When, like you said, like I know kids now like can't count money, can't tell time, but do you really need to know how to read a clock? Like, how many times in your life have you needed to look at a clock and it was like dire? It's going to be one of those like map skills, orientation. How many times in the last 10 years? Hold on. And if you have questions to the crowd, you can feel free to get up and ask a question. You're more than welcome to go and get on there, and then we'll get you if you have a question in the crowd. I don't personally like, there are certain things that kids are not gonna need more than they're gonna need other things. So like how we have coding, but in order to add something new to the curriculum, you kind of got to take something out. So like, would you spend a unit on map skills or coding? I know there's a way to incorporate both. I know how to, but I'm saying just because I want to debate, like I wanted some information, some questions. So go ahead, Ms. Rhonda, you answer your question. Then we're gonna take 2 questions from the audience. All right, go ahead. What you got?
Okay. I'm like, why not learn cursive? It may be of interest. So House of Resources, those babies enjoyed the success that they had with learning cursive. They weren't adversive to it. It was cool with them. They're doing it over the summer. And, they could pull out the little pads and go practice. And so why not?
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
House of Resources
Yes.
is a paid program.
Okay.
Most of the kids are there on scholarship. Shout out
Yes.
to Mary Kemp, because we made sure a lot
Mary
of those
Kemp, yes.
Mary Kemp Foundation made sure a lot of those kids who couldn't afford it. And shout out again to Tony. If he didn't have that program, a lot of those kids would have been on the street. So I applaud that, and I applaud what you're doing. But now, just to put it back on you, they had the time and the will and the fun, because that's an extracurricular.
Okay.
That was done outside of the classroom. Okay. So it's not that they don't like it in the classroom, but to go back to the original point, too many teachers focus on test prep and test, and they take the fun out of education.
Yeah.
So you never get a chance to do something cool or something different or novel like that. So I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying, if you walk into a classroom today and you got one teacher teaching cursive and you got a next teacher working on STEM projects, whose kid's going to be more productive moving forward? It's a debate. We can have that discussion. And again, not right or wrong. I know in my classrooms, I never taught cursive, but in my classrooms, I used math in the real world, and I used real estate and those types of things to incorporate into the classroom. So, no right or wrong. That's your answer. We got a from the audience, y'all. Let's go.
My name is Michael Lane. How y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on?
All right. So, got a question. All right. Would I use that same? My son's 12. Would I use that same concept for math? Should I teach him the traditional way to do math, or should I teach him how to use a calculator?
Can I answer that first? Because you know,
Math man.
yeah, y'all know they call me the math man. So here goes the answer. He needs both. But the reality is, a calculator is a tool. So if you were going to teach your son how to build a house, would you not give him a hammer and say, or not give him a screwdriver because there's a nail gun? No, he needs to know how to use both. But the reality is, teachers teach algorithms. They don't teach process. So like right now, I can ask everybody in here a bunch of multiplication questions. You'll know the answer, but you won't know how it works. That's what Common Core was, and that's what it should be. You should understand it because you should have critical thinking skills so that when you don't have a calculator, like you haven't seen me do the board, go to the board. I have ways that I could kind of get close to the answer. So I think that's, and your son was also at the House of Resources. So it's these types of parents, y'all. If we could go back to my man Mike. Shout out to my man Mike. Let's cut to that camera. So it's parents like this that you have your son in the extracurricular program. You also happen to be an entrepreneur. Mike's also going to be on episode 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about that. Wholesale home team cash offer in the house. That's a great question. I want to add to that. And we got 10 more minutes. Do you want to add? Anybody want to add to that question? Answer?
I think as an English and reading teacher, we do math problem solving in every classroom, no matter the subject.
Right.
And I was afraid of it at first because, again, generationally, I didn't learn how to do math the way the kids are doing it now. But I enjoy every single morning seeing them. And when I'm able to go up to the board or the students go up. So I agree. I think they need to know how to do both when they get to that age. But right now, we're not seeing the basic foundations there, multiplication, division, adding, subtracting. I think that foundation has to be there first. And then as they get older, then they are able to use that tool. But again, if outside of that tool and something happens, then they won't be able to do math. So I don't think that they should be too dependent on the tool.
You want to add to that?
Yes, there's a time and a space. So as Carla stated, that those basic skills aren't in place. And if they're not in place, but you're sitting in 6th grade and expected to do 6th grade work, if you get to use the calculator so you can get the concept of what we're teaching in 6th grade and not the computation slowing you down, then that's a valid reason. But that's usually done, based on knowing your students and what their needs are. You don't throw the calculator out there and go, everybody gets a calculator. No, you don't. Everybody gets to learn. That's the key right there. Everybody has to have the opportunity to learn. And so I'm with you. Yay. Both. You need both. Okay. You need both skills. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Great question. I appreciate
Great
you.
question.
All right. So it looks like we're gonna run. Let's go like another 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll end with you guys can give all your shout outs, this, that, and the third. And then I want to make sure it's a good question. I want to make sure it's when y'all get angry with me about. I'm just teasing. So we talk testing, we talk calculators, we talk cursive, which I think was really important. Here goes the big one. This is an important one. How do y'all feel about college? You go first, you close it.
I feel like students that are prepared to go to college should go to college. I don't think, we don't have the luxury of our kids going to college just to play and have fun, because we know we have the company business to put them in. So, and I also have come to say, you go to college if there's money available and you're not getting in debt. So then you can go to college, but not everybody should be, we shouldn't be pushing everyone to college like that's a requirement. So I think I got it.
You got it.
Well, we agree. I do not, because, okay, I have 4 children, 2 and 2. Those 2 middle ones, I knew from day one were not college bound. That's
Mhm.
my entrepreneur.
Right. Hey,
Both of
talk
them.
about it.
Both of them.
Talk about it.
That's my daughter, Natalie Marie Hare. Shout out to Natalie Marie Hare. The girl has had her business since 16. She knows how to make money, and she did not have a degree to do that. My other son, my middle son, all he knows how to make money. He's the one that was asking about the real estate and getting into that. They had that entrepreneur. Now that older one and the younger one, she's off. She's wanting to go to college. The older one went. All he wanted to do was get into Baylor. He got into Baylor. Boom, he was good. That's all he wanted. He finished up at UNT, and absolutely. So I feel like that our skill sets in this country are gone. I feel like having lived abroad and lived in Germany for 12 years and seeing kids leaving high school at 14, 15, going into entrepreneurships, going into apprenticeships, and seeing the husbands and wives build houses from scratch. We had neighbors behind us. They built their own houses. I'm like, how do you know how to do it? Because they taught us in school. That was a trade that we had to take. I think every child should have a skill or a trade in case that paper or that college degree does not plan out, or they're sitting at home for a year or two because they can't find a job. You know how to go out and make money. So me being as an educator, I do have to tell you that I do not push college on kids that I don't feel have a desire to go to college. Don't go to school and waste money. Don't go to school and play and get kicked out, and then you have to come back. Know what it is that you want to do. And I think that as a parent, my husband and I think have done a great job in seeing where their gifts are and pushing that gift. If it wants to go to school, baby, we're going to get you money to go to school. If you want to start your business, we got you.
Thank you. And if you want my answer on that, season 2, we have versus college versus career. You'll get my opinion on that in a 10-minute presentation and a 30-minute debate. We have another question from the crowd, y'all. So all right. And a shout out to y'all got to see this production over here. We ready for you, my man?
Actually, it's a comment. This is on the college thing. My name is Carl Webb, C Webb Enterprises. On the college thing, I think that you just have to be intentional with it. I think you have to have an intentional purpose for when you're going, because you don't want to go waste time, and you don't want to receive for the time you wasted in 4 years, right? So if there's no direction to your purpose in going to college, and it's hopefully to be on the entrepreneurial side and entrepreneurs, then you will be wasting time and money. But I will say for the ladies up there, actually everybody on the panel, for this toughest job that there is right now, and most important job that there is, which is educating these kids to where you're spending 12 hours possibly a day with somebody else's kids. So I want to go back and say I disagree with the first name thing, because I don't want to start downplaying respect. So they're already taking the power and authority from the parents. They're taking the power and authority from the teachers and the educators. So the last thing I want to do is start detracting respect from you guys who earned the respect. And the parents don't support you. The parents come up and curse you out over issues, and they're not a part of the kid's life. So I don't want the kid to not have respect for you either when the parents don't have it anyway. So let's turn up respect and not start taking it away. So
thank you for your comment, brother. See, we're full of gems. I think we had to have him on here as well too. We'll work all that out. All right, y'all. So I want to thank our guests. Great conversation as always. And here goes what we're gonna do, Ms. Rhonda. People want to get in contact with you. They want to find you on social media. How do they find you?
Okay, my name Rhonda Brown, or Liberation Now LLC, because I'm under the tutelage of HAHOMES. So I now have an LLC, and I have my page there, so you can find me there. And yeah, that's probably the best way, the best place.
And all of these links will be in the description, so I'll make sure I have
So you
everybody's
got
link.
that?
I got you covered.
Okay,
All right.
awesome.
All right. So as far as on the personal side, Instagram, Facebook, you can find me under Carla Fears or Carla Taylor Fears on Facebook, Instagram, Carla Fears. I also have a nonprofit, Mothers for Sons. So on Instagram, you can find that. I also have a page on Facebook, Mothers for Sons. And I also have a private group, and it is by You have to answer some questions, and I do screen them. We have parents of incarcerated. Rhonda here is a member of that group, but parents of incarcerated sons and daughters, because I started Mothers for Sons as far as young men, and I'm just partial to boys, but keeping young people off the street, in the classroom, and out of jail. And so we support a lot of families here. Unfortunately, some of my former students have gotten caught up with the law. And so that's one of my heartbeats there. And our group has grown. I think we're up to almost 100 members. I think when we saw the other day, 100 members. And so it's very private, but they're all over out of Texas. And I am not a lawyer. I don't have any law degree, but I help them try to find answers when they need it. And then Tailor-Made Innovations is our family business, the real estate investment company. And you can find that also on Facebook and Instagram.
Let's go. All of those links are going to be in the description. I want to thank everybody who came out tonight for the first live show. I want to thank, you can clap for that. That's cool. I want to thank everybody who tuned. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, everybody who left a comment, everybody who's going to see this, everybody who likes, shares, comments, and supports what we do. It's your man, Man H. You know how to find us. HAHOMES US on all platforms. Talk to y'all soon. Peace. I close out.